Imagine losing your phone, television, music, games, books, and internet tonight. By tomorrow, you might be climbing the walls. Yet prehistoric humans lived without any of them for thousands of generations. So were they bored out of their minds? The strange answer may explain why you can carry almost every song, story, and game ever made inside one small rectangle and still stare at it thinking, there is nothing to do. Bobby is going back to one ordinary Stone Age evening. Before we leave, notice the orange thread in his hand. It leads to something our ancestors had, something we may be slowly trading away. First, a warning. Caveman is a useful nickname, not a perfect description. Many prehistoric people moved across open land and built shelters. Caves simply protected more of the clues they left behind. And those clues cannot tell us exactly what someone felt beside a fire 40,000 years ago. Feelings do not fossilize. No stone tool comes with a tiny note saying, "Made this because Tuesday was painfully dull." But boredom is not just empty time. Researchers describe it as wanting to be mentally engaged while failing to find something that feels engaging enough. Attention slips away, the moment feels wrong, and your mind asks for change. That system is probably very old. Boredom can push a person away from a dead goal and toward another one. In plain language, it is your brain whispering, "Stop spending energy here, search somewhere else." For an early human, that whisper could matter. A quiet patch of bushes might mean the berries are gone. A hunting path with no tracks might be useless. Staying interested in the wrong place could cost food, time, or safety. So the first answer is probably yes. Prehistoric people likely felt some form of boredom. We cannot prove the feeling was exactly like yours, but a mind built to search, learn, and switch goals would need a signal to move on. Yet their boredom may have felt very different because nothing happening was rarely truly nothing. Wind changed, smoke shifted, an animal called far away, a child copied an adult's hands. Information was hiding everywhere. Their world was not a blank loading screen, it was more like a living puzzle with no instruction book. Weather, plants, tracks, voices, tools, fire, and other people all demanded small decisions. Survival was not nonstop panic either. Life had pauses. People waited for animals, weather, food, wounds, and daylight. Work also changed by season, place, age, and what a group needed. There were slow hours. And inside those slow hours, humans did something important. They made more than survival required. They decorated objects, wore ornaments, painted images, told stories, played, danced, and made music. Here is the clue we promised. Archaeologists found a flute made from mammoth-ivory, about 35,000 years old. Someone shaped two hollow pieces, joined them, cut finger holes, and made a 5-note instrument. That person spent real effort making invisible sound. The flute did not spear dinner or block the cold. It created a pattern other minds could hear, remember, and perhaps answer with movement or song. Was it made because someone was bored? We do not know. But it proves ancient attention was not trapped inside survival. People had imagination left over. They could turn waiting into rhythm and empty space into meaning. Now the orange thread becomes clearer. Bobby thought it represented entertainment. It does not. The thread represents engagement, a reason to pull on the next moment and discover what happens. For most of human history, engagement was tied to action. If you wanted music, someone made music. If you wanted a story, someone remembered it. If you wanted a game, other bodies entered the same space. Entertainment was not a river pouring into one still person. It was often a fire people kept alive together. Even listening asked you to watch faces, learn patterns, react, remember, and eventually take a turn. That social world mattered. Human knowledge became larger than one brain because skills, stories, and choices were spread across a group. Watching another person was not background noise. It was part of staying alive. But this is where the idea breaks. If prehistoric life offered rich engagement, why invent songs, games, pictures, jokes, and stories at all? Maybe because boredom was already there, quietly demanding that humans create what the world had not provided. Boredom may be less like a broken machine and more like a smoke alarm. The sound is unpleasant because it is supposed to move you. Sometimes it points toward danger, sometimes toward curiosity, sometimes toward another person. The alarm does not tell you which door to open. It only says the current room is not enough. That freedom can produce a flute, a better tool, a new path, or a terrible decision. Modern life did not remove that alarm. It built a button that can silence it in 1 second. The moment discomfort appears, Bobby can scroll, tap, swipe, refresh, and receive something new. At first, this feels like victory. No waiting, no dull bus ride, no quiet line, no awkward pause before sleep. Every gap can be filled with voices, color, motion, anger, jokes, fear, and surprise. But quick stimulation and deep engagement are not the same thing. One grabs your attention for a moment, the other gives your attention somewhere meaningful to go. Imagine eating one tiny piece of candy every time you feel even slightly hungry. Your mouth is always busy, but you may never eat a meal. Infinite content can work the same way on attention. Each swipe gives Bobby a new object before he chooses what he actually wants. The boredom alarm stops ringing, but the question beneath it remains unanswered. What would be worth doing if no machine chose the next thing? Over time, ordinary moments can start to feel weaker. A quiet room loses against 1,000 edited voices. A slow conversation competes with perfect highlights. Waiting feels less like space and more like failure. This does not mean phones are evil or that prehistoric life was peaceful. Ancient people faced hunger, injury, grief, conflict, and danger without medicine or rescue. We should not confuse hardship with wisdom. It also does not mean every empty minute creates genius. Boredom can lead to restless, risky, or cruel behavior. An alarm is useful only if you learn what it is pointing toward. The real difference may be practice. Ancient people had fewer instant escape doors. They had to remain inside some uncomfortable moments long enough for attention to search, wander, notice, remember, or invent. Bobby tries this. He puts the black mirror down. For 10 seconds, nothing happens. Then the room becomes louder, pipes tick, light moves across the wall, and unfinished thoughts begin walking back into view. The first thought is not brilliant. Neither is the second. Then Bobby notices the loose orange thread. With no feed telling him where it goes, curiosity has room to become his own. He follows it outside. It passes a neighbor, a broken chair, a patch of weeds, and a child drawing circles in dust. None of these things were selected for him. That is why they can ask something from him. The thread finally reaches the ancient flute. The missing thing was never more content. It was participation, the feeling that the next sound, idea, or move might depend on you. So, were cavemen bored? Almost certainly sometimes. They waited, repeated tasks, failed to find what they needed, and lived with minds that searched for better engagement. But boredom did not always have an instant off switch. That may have made boredom sharper, but also more useful. It could push attention outward toward tracks, tools, stories, music, play, and people. The empty moment was not the end of experience. It was raw material. Our problem may not be that modern life is more boring. It may be that we interrupt boredom before it can finish its sentence. We erase the signal, then wonder why nothing feels chosen. Here is Bobby's question for you. If every screen disappeared for one evening, what would your boredom make you create, fix, explore, or ask another person? Put the first honest answer in the comments. Bobby ties the orange thread around his wrist and leaves the phone on the ground. Behind him, its endless images keep moving without anyone watching. Ahead, the thread vanishes into darkness, and for once, Bobby chooses to follow.